Okay, everybody, Stephen Key here. And today we have another very special guest at inventRight, Inventor Spotlight. Theresa, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, Stephen, for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. I have a couple questions for you.
Fire away. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
let's start with the very first one. Uh,
Mhm.
you're an inventor, you're creative, I know that. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why do you invent?
Oh gosh. You know what? Okay, so I like to think of myself as an artist, a creator of really fun and cool things. And I guess it started when I was a kid. Art was the one thing that I had control over doing because I didn't learn how to walk till I was 6. So everybody had something to do with me. But when I picked up the pen or the crayons, that was me. And so creating hmm, is just powerful and fun. And I want to bring something that everybody goes, yeah. So mhm, that would be my answer.
Well, I think I'm creative as well. And I know we have a kind of a similar background a little bit because I used to do arts and crafts fairs, and you've done them too. Is that right?
Oh, I love doing it. I love it. It's exhausting setting up the tent and the table, but once the people come to your table and they start talking and they engage and they pick up your items that you've created and they love it. I've had people cry, I've had people hug me, I've had every emotion spill across my table. It's so cool. I love it.
I fell in love with that world of making things and taking those things out to see if people like them. And it was probably the
Mhm.
best experience I could have had. But what I wanted to do is create ideas and share them with more people than just that day at the fair. Okay.
Exactly. And I kept asking myself, how can I get this into stores? And doing one of a kind pieces of artwork, I didn't know how to do that. And so my question was, how do I get my art on products? Because I didn't have any idea how to do this. I just knew that I wanted it. And I'd go into places like, okay, Bed Bath and Beyond, maybe they're not around as much anymore, but I would go into big box stores and go, that's what I want. I want to see my artwork on that
I love it.
and that and that.
So let's talk about inventing and let's talk about the world of licensing. What did you know about that world before you found inventRight?
Well, Stephen, I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, and I am the second youngest out of 8, not including the kids that would come through the door that were foster kids. So we had a very active house. And to be on top of everything, I had to stand out somehow. And so I wanted to be, I didn't really know the word inventor really all that well, but I knew that I wanted to make something. And one of my brilliant brothers said to me, Theresa, you'll never get this invented because one, you need to get a patent. And I didn't know what that was, but it sounded scary. And he said, and that's a lot of money. You will never make that much money in your lifetime to get this. And so my idea had a magnet with it. And he took the magnet away from me and he hucked it across the prairie fields, and I never found it again. So he kind of stomped on my dreams, but I knew that it was like it would be a lot of work and it would require a lot of money. And yeah, so that's what I knew. That was really the extent of it.
I think that's very common, actually,
Mm.
to tell you the truth. So you start out and you mentioned to me that you found us by searching on the internet and started
Mhm.
watching our videos. Were those videos helpful?
They were extremely helpful. I didn't know really that there was a company that could help people that were creative like me. And so when I found inventRight on YouTube, oh, I was tuned in. I was tuned in a lot. So what have you? Well, I was cleaning the house. I was Yeah. So you guys got to be take a lot of airtime,
Okay.
which was really good. So, and I learned a lot, but I needed more.
Okay. Well, you joined, but you joined one of our programs called Academy,
That's
and
correct.
you learn very quickly that that wasn't the right program for you. Why is
Right.
that? And what did you do to change it?
Let's see, I don't tend to learn just by hearing. I have to see what I'm learning. And so that type of learning style for me was a little more difficult. So getting a coach to bounce questions off of and just say, hey, I don't understand this. Can
Okay.
you explain it in a different way? So yeah.
Yeah, the program I think you're talking about is really our I hate to say this, but it's really someone there every step along the way is holding your hand kind of to make
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it really is. And I do think you need someone to take a look at your work to make sure you're doing everything right and keeping you on track because it's easy to
Yeah,
get off track.
yeah. And for myself, like there's just so much I want to do. And so having Coach Sonia, she just really gives me like she brings me down, she grounds me, and then she gives me a list of tasks
Yeah.
and focus because that's what I need. So I needed focus. And so it's like, okay, I can do this, 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 and I'm banging it off. I'm just like, okay, I got this. What else can I do? And then that's when I research on because I want to say something about your all of the stuff that's in the website when you become a student is awesome. There's so much there. In fact, I brought it to open office yesterday and I
Uh,
mentioned it. Yeah, because Brad had said, if you're a student, look into it. And I'm like, well, you know what? I better look into this because my class will eventually end.
yeah,
And
I think people are surprised. We have a lot of content um, on the videos, the articles, but when you become a member and you really look behind the scenes at everything we have, it's like, wow, I didn't know just
mhm,
how much information. So I
yeah,
think people are always a little surprised.
it's fantastic. So definitely, that is worth its weight in gold for sure. But so is Sonia.
Yeah. Well, I think when I first started out, I wasn't quite sure what to do. And I found my mentor,
Mhm,
Steve Askin, and he's still a good friend today. And he kind of guided me, and I needed that. So that's why I think it's really important. If not, I was questioning myself and I didn't have
mhm,
a roadmap, and he provided that for me. So, all
yeah.
right, let's move off real quick. You've got a coach, Sonia. She's wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think she is great too. Um, let's talk about pitching ideas for just a minute. Not easy, is it?
I love it.
Yeah,
I totally do. I love it. I love getting on the phone
yeah.
and I
Uh,
love talking to people and I want to know what to do.
okay.
Yeah, you guys gave me the script and I used to be a telephone operator. So
Oh,
getting on the
okay.
phone with people was like, yeah, let's go. Thank you for calling Computer City. This is Teresa speaking. How may I direct your call? I said
Okay.
that a
Well,
gajillion times. And yeah, so I like it.
okay. Well, you know, I had someone on the phone the other day that said, well, the PPA I thought was the hardest part, and associate I thought was the hardest part. Now I'm pitching an idea, and now you're telling me this is even harder. I think for some people it is, but I do believe you have to have a little bit of practice. I think it's important to follow up, and I
Mhm.
think it's important to realize they're just people too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was something that you guys really um I don't want to say you stressed it, but it was enough for me to get the message. And it's true, like you've had people on Bridging the Gap, the guy that did Paw Patrols. Oh my God, he's so down to earth. Right. It's like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
And yeah, we have a program called Bridging the Gap where we bring on companies looking for ideas, and the reason why we do that is, number one, to get to know these decision makers, and they're just like us, but
Mhm.
also realize what that each company is a little bit different and what they're really looking for. But it's about just introducing you and the audience to these companies that need us. And
Yeah.
I really love that program. I'm glad you mentioned Paw Patrol too, real quickly, because the gentleman that came on one of our programs, Keith Chapman,
Keith Chapman. I couldn't pull up the name.
uh, probably one of the most successful people I know.
Yeah.
But he was so down to earth, he was so helpful.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't think people are, but a lot of people are there to help. Yeah.
No, I absolutely love it. I can't, I get in and I listen to as much as I can. So
Yeah.
it's so good.
Well,
Yeah.
well, thank you for coming on inventRight's member spotlight. Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure working with you, and your
Mm,
attitude is always
Thank,
wonderful. And thank you
thank you.
for being part of our community.
Well, I love this community. It really is. I've made friends along the way, which is really fantastic. And as a creative person, you're in your head a lot, and it's really nice to kind of pop out and just chat with other like-minded people. So, yeah,
Well, thank you very much. And I want to
you're
thank everybody
welcome.
for watching this segment of inventRight's member spotlight. This is Stephen Key. Theresa, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Have a good one.